So welcome to our session today. It's possible that some more people arrive. So then with the beautiful assistance of Louis, I'm sure we can let them in. But I would like to start with some opening prayers. So my name is Margo. I don't know if you met Barbara. Have we met before? I can't remember.
Yes, I was here to the one you did previously.
Right, a couple of months ago. Yes.
Yes. I don't remember when it was because I've moved and
Right.
things are a blur.
Yes.
But yes, we met and I enjoyed your these sessions with you in particular. So thank you for coming back and doing them again.
Great, my pleasure. Pleasure to have you here. You look familiar, so that's why. Yeah, but you weren't here last week. Great. So let's start with some opening prayers, and then we can introduce ourselves a bit more. We have them here on the screen. I suggest, so these are the refuge and bodhicitta prayers. Let's do them twice in English and then once in Tibetan. So we can practice, maybe you're very familiar with it, or maybe it's a bit new. So then we know what we're doing. And also the Tibetan has this beautiful melody that sort of resonates in the heart, or at least it certainly does in mine, and I think with many. Let's if you mute yourself, then you can do it out loud, and still we don't get all the feedback on Zoom. Yeah, great. So first, let's check our own motivation for being here, to settle in our seat. Notice your breathing, your sit bones on the seat, your feet probably on the ground, wherever they are, providing stability. The back quite straight, yet with a gentle curve, shoulders relaxed. Notice your breathing without needing to change anything. Gentle rising and falling of the abdomen. Being with the tactile sensation caused by the breath. It allows us to connect with our body, be in the here and now. You may want to reflect on your own reason or motivation for being here today. Joining this session of Be Your Own Therapist. Let's include an altruistic motivation that we practice, we meditate, we discuss, we listen to bring more peace and happiness in our own lives, and also be able to be an even kinder and wiser person, benefiting our surroundings. So with that, let's recite the refuge prayers in bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye cherang sakye chok nam la jang chuk badu dak yi kyap su chi dagi chen yang ge pe so nam ge dro la pen shi sangye dro pa sho. Thank you. Oh, we can do the short mandala offering. So here we imagine, we offer everything that is beautiful. So everything, delicious foods, delicious flowers. Like here, I have some beautiful sweet peas in my room. So maybe you have flowers in your room or in nearby. And anything you can imagine, you can have actual things, but also you can imagine that you, in a way, offer the whole universe vast amounts of beautiful fruit, flowers, smells, perfume. You offer it to the Buddhas. This is in order to generate positive energy. Let's do it in Tibetan. Sanji pergi ju shin me ta Ram Vira Plenji Ni Degyan Pari Sang Ye Jingdu Mekte Uwaye Drokunam Nakshing La Chepasya Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. Thank you. So today we have the theme of be your own therapist. So the ongoing theme of these sessions. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about equanimity. So because last weeks we looked at our emotions, our disturbing emotions, about anger and aversion. And today I want to focus on equanimity. So the reason why, we've just done one of these opening prayers where we say things like, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. So it's quite an aspiration. You usually you just roll it off and, you may not think about it too much. But actually that is quite something. Even the thought that we do things not only for ourselves. So here in this lineage, it's the Mahayana lineage, where we do practices and prayers and meditations and teachers, partly for our own benefit, for our own peace of mind, for our own dealing with our own emotional states and our own stuff, especially in these be your own therapist sessions. And also there is always this aspect of that we do this for others as well. It's not just for ourselves. So in one aspect around that is the quality of equanimity. So if we in our own system, we have this. We usually tend to divide our emotional responses into attachment, aversion, or ignorance. So when there are things we want something, we have an attachment to something or someone or a certain situation. And if there is something then that we don't want, we don't like, we have an aversion towards it. So we have anger or irritation or blaming or criticism or all these type of things that we say like, oh, I don't want that. So in our own experience, that is the aversion, the attachment, and then the ignorance, that is the actually the total misunderstanding of ourselves and of our surroundings, that we have a complete misunderstanding of how we actually exist. So we tend to have a sense of our own solid self, that we tend to have the idea about ourselves and about life around us, that it's pretty fixed and pretty permanent. That the situations, the life situations that we're in, that they are pretty stable. While in reality, they're not. And in a way, we all know that. We're all intelligent people. We all have the experiences in our life that things change. Here we already hear about moving countries. I come from another country, and from the Netherlands, and now I'm in Scotland. Here, even on the physical level, moving houses or moving countries or locations, that is changing, either by choice or by necessity or for whatever reason. Other things in our lives change. Our emotional states change, our relationships change, our health situation may change, our job security may change, financial situation may change, especially nowadays. That's quite a topic. I don't know about you, but here in the UK, that's quite a topic. So there are a lot of things that are changing, and yet we tend to have that ongoing idea that things are not changing. Sometimes when changes are happening and we don't choose them, if we choose them and say, I wanna move to Santa Fe, much better, I like it there, then great, we're happy. But if sometimes life brings us in a situation, and I had to move house a few years ago, and I go, I don't want to leave, I don't want to go, it was a really wonderful house and I have to change, and no. So it was not a choice, and it was not an easy situation. And yet that unpredictability and that sense of impermanence, that is the reality. That is what's happening in our lives. So having said that, what is there? In a way, we need to get used to that difference between our own sense of, well, I have this health situation, or I have this place to live, or I have this job, or I have this friendship or relationship, and this is how it's going to be forever and ever. This is fine. I'm happy with it. I don't want it to change, and I expect it to go on and on forever and ever. So although we know, we're all intelligent people, we know that this is not the case. Yet in our responses and often our sense of shock and horror, like, what, is something changing? We actually can be really, surprised by changes when they happen. And get upset about it, or not want it to happen, or blame the situation, or blame the people. Now, one of the ways where this is acting out is in our relationships. So in our relationships and friendships and the connection with the people in our life, we are doing something similar. So we often have a tendency to label the people in our life either as there are people we like. We call them friends or family, and we may have a level of attachment to them, but these are the people we like. They give us what we need. They do things we like. They make us happy, or they say nice things to us, or they bring us some benefits. These are the people we call our friends. And usually we have a sense, or often we have a sense of attachment towards them. And we also may have the tendency to think, well, this friend is going to be my friend forever, or my partner forever. Although we know the statistics, we all have life experiences that friendships change. People who have been our friends in the past, they may suddenly not be our friend. They may do something or say something or hurt us or harm us. And they may come into the other category, the category of, traditionally they call it enemies, or I prefer to call it difficult people. Those are the people who harm us or hurt us, who do something or say something that we do not appreciate. Just want to welcome Marianne in the group. So welcome, Marianne. I'm glad you're joining us. Feel free to switch on your camera if you like, but I respect your choice.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you for holding the space to do this.
My pleasure. We're discussing equanimity as part of the Be Around Therapists today, exploring equanimity. So on the inner, we have the attachment and aversion or ignorance. And on the outer, in our outer life, we have these friends, we have these difficult people, and then we have all these other peoples, these vast amount of people actually that we don't know. We can call them strangers. So usually towards our friends, we have a sense of attachment. Towards these difficult people, we have a sense of aversion. And towards all these strangers, we have a sense of indifference. So check this out for yourself. Like, is that true for you? How is that for you? For me, it's quite up at the moment. I just mentioned earlier, I live here in this eco-village community in Vindhorn. So with a few hundred people around, I've been here 30 years, quite, almost half my life. So I've made friends and I've met some difficult people. So, and yesterday we actually had a community meeting, and the theme was conflict. We had a community meeting there were about 60 people, and we were going to look at conflict in our community. It's a spiritual community, eco-village. So we want to look at, how do we deal with conflict, and can we find ways to deal better with conflict? And my own take is I always like to prevent conflict and do things in advance, like Buddhism, that we don't end up so much in conflict. But the interesting thing was, I sat there in a group with people who, some of them used to be my friends. I thought they were fantastic people. And, there were one or two now in my little group who I really appreciated and really admired, great facilitators and very kind to me and very helpful, very inspiring. And then things shifted. They became more in another category. They were part of an organization that actually, caused my redundancy a year and a half ago. And suddenly, instead of inspiring and kind and helpful, I find them cold and heartless and ruthless. And so there is more of an aversion to these people. So it's very interesting to see how, and the other way around. It's interesting to see how that happens from, a lot of admiration and gratitude towards, now I have more of aversion to some of these people. So it's interesting, very interesting exercise to see how that works. And it also happens the other way around. There has been a person in the community who I had a lot of aversion, just the way the person talks and the way they behave and the things they say. And for years, there has been a lot of aversion, just natural. Then at some point, that situation changed. We were on a long walk with a group, and I had a pain in my legs and my knee, and I couldn't walk so fast, and I was afraid to be left behind. And, I was not so happy. And then this person that I always disliked actually stayed with me and walked with me until we came back to the car. So this person, we're not best friends, but that has, made such a difference that is like, in spite of all the difficulties, this person was just extremely kind, and I really appreciate that. So my attitude to this person has softened a lot. So yeah, so you may have your own your own people in your own life where you can see this happening, where there are things shifting, and that these roles of friends or enemy that they are shifting. And also this whole label of people we call strangers and we feel quite indifferent about. So that's another huge category. All the people we currently call our friends, probably at some point they were a stranger, unless it's your mother or so who you knew from birth. But for the rest, all the people in our lives now, maybe they're our best friends or partners, or they're very important to us. But there was also a time we didn't know them at all. And also we've had in our lives situations where we have people we are close to, and at some point that changes again, and we don't see them anymore, or we don't have contact anymore. So it's very interesting to look at our relationship to all these friends, enemies, and stranger friends, difficult people and strangers, and just to have a sense of the only reason we give them these labels, that this is a friend and this is a difficult person, is because what they do to me. And you may have the same, that what they do to you. If someone is, like recently I had then this experience of like, oh, I lost my job, a year and a half ago. They made half of the staff redundant, and including me. There are people on the world everywhere through COVID, through all sorts of circumstances where people lose their job. It happens. I usually don't have sleepless nights if someone in Australia loses their job, or even if someone in Santa Fe loses their job, or anyone else. However, when it happens to me, it's suddenly different. So we tend to exaggerate, or we tend to have strong reactions to when something happens to us. So that brings us to another key Buddhist topic, where they say, so we put a lot of efforts on how people relate to us, to the me. So then the Buddhists ask, so where is that I? Where is that I that is supposed to be so important that we spend a lot of time relating to these categories? You are my friend, you are my difficult person, and to you I don't care because I don't know you. So it's actually very interesting to investigate again, because I think that's something we need to do again and again. Like, where is this I? Where is this I? Is that in our body? Is that in our mind? Is that something in the past? Is that something outside myself? Where is that I that we give so much importance, that we spend so much time with all that aversion and attachment? So that is an ongoing thing. So from time to time we have meditations about in Buddhism. So we have meditations about impermanence, that things are shifting and changing all the time. Whether it's the weather, I don't know how it's in Santa Fe. I have the idea it's always nice weather, but I don't know because I've never been there. But here in Scotland, it's pretty obvious. The weather changes every 20 minutes. Here we say, if you don't like the weather, wait 20 minutes and it will be different. So we have all the seasons in a day. So the weather changes here, the seasons change, all the our family situation changes. We have here someone with a small child. Well, that changes, whether a child is 1 year old or 2 year old, or in a few years it will become a teenager, then it will be different. And then they leave home and go to work or to go whatever, the study. So again, different. So we have all these different relationships that change all the time. So there is total, impermanence is happening there. Impermanence is happening in all aspects of our life, in our thoughts. Our thoughts are changing all the time. And you can see that when you try to meditate, you try to sit and breathe and watch your breathing. And then all these thoughts are coming like, oh, what happened yesterday? Oh, what am I going to do later today? Oh, that memory of this or that, oh, my shopping list or my to-do list, or whatever, conflicts or difficulties that come up. So our mind is changing all the time. Then we have a happy moment, we're happy and at ease, and then we are suddenly in a state of anger or conflict. So these things, they happen all the time. So yeah, so I feel I've talked enough. I actually wanted to do a little meditation, unless there's something you want to say before we're going to go say or ask. Any comments before we go into a little meditation?
If you want to make a comment, just unmute yourself and
You can
speak out, because it's a small group.
Yeah, we can be very informal. Thank you, Louis. Lou. No, okay. So then I'd like to do a meditation. This is again from the How to Meditate book from Kathleen MacDonald, Venerable Sankhya Kadro. And so I want to invite you. You may want to just close your eyes for a moment. So again, connect with your body. Feel your sit bones on the seat. Notice your breathing. And then imagine in the space in front of you, 3 people. Someone you like, someone you dislike, and someone you feel indifferent about. So there may be more candidates for each category, but first, choose one person you like, maybe a friend or family member. So first, focus on your friend. Allow your feelings for him or her to arise. Feel your conviction that this person is definitely a friend. Look. See their face, see their features, and explore your feelings for them. And feel your strong sense that this person is definitely your friend. That is a person who is good to you, who satisfies your needs. Feel how you really want this person to be happy. And immerse yourself in your good feelings towards this person. Notice in your body how that feels like. Now turn to the second person, the difficult person. So choose here a person you do not like at the moment. Again, there may be more candidates, but focus on one person for this meditation. See them in the space in front of you. Look at their face, their features. This person you do not like. This is a person who is not kind to you, who does not satisfy your needs, who annoys you or makes you angry, or who hurts you. Look carefully at this man or woman and carefully note your feelings. And then turn to a so-called stranger, the third person. Take someone you hardly know. Maybe you've just seen them passing in the street or in the shop, in a crowd of people. Someone you don't have a strong connection with. A person you neither like nor dislike. Look carefully at the person and note your feeling of indifference. Now recognize that the basis for your relationship to these three people is mainly based on what they do or don't do for you at this moment in time. Is this realistic? The Buddhists have the view that our minds are beginningless. And this follows that everyone has been our friend. Everyone has been our difficult person. And everyone has been a stranger many, many times before. So isn't it reasonable to be kind to your enemies now? Because they also have been our friends before. Now, return to your friends and imagine, so man, see your friend in front of you. And imagine a situation that would cause the relationship to change or to end. Imagine your friend turning against you. You may feel the resentment and hurt, and how you no longer feel warm towards them. No longer wish him or her well. Where is that friend now? Remember that this person was not your friend before you were connected. when they were a stranger and could very easily stop to be your friend, just as you have now imagined. Realize there is no realistic reason for feeling kind and loving towards only the friend of this moment. Relationships changed in the past and will continue to change. Today's friend can become tomorrow's enemy. Now turn your attention to your present difficult person. And I invite you to imagine a situation in which you could be drawn together. Maybe a common interest, a word or action of praise or kindness. Look carefully at this person and your feelings. If you imagine this difficult person acting kindly, maybe apologizing, maybe saying or doing something that touches you positively. Are your feelings softening when you imagine that? You can learn to feel warmly and positively towards a difficult person. We all know of people who have done this. And we have done this ourselves many times. Why hold so strongly to the conception that this definitely is a difficult person or an enemy? And then third, what of this stranger? Imagine in the space in front of you a stranger, the person you hardly know, maybe just have seen in passing. Maybe you don't know their name. You have no like or dislike towards them. Notice your feeling of indifference. Imagine how one act of kindness or anger from this person could immediately turn him or her into a friend or an enemy. There is no inherent, definite stranger there, and no sound reason for your feelings of indifference. Remember that your present friend and enemy were strangers to you beforehand. This enemy could become friend. This stranger could become friend or enemy now. So keep these three people clearly in front of you. And think about the fragile impermanence of these relationships. It's only your misconceived belief in the stability of them that holds our mind back from the possibility of change. Our friend, enemy, and stranger all want happiness, just like us. So in this respect, everyone is equal. And everyone is equal in having the potential to develop their minds to the fullest and achieve ultimate wisdom and compassion, fulfilling all our highest potentials. The differences we see in people are superficial, based on our mistaken and narrow, self-centered point of view. In fact, everyone is equal in deserving our care and compassion. So this does not mean we should not discriminate. On a practical level, it is necessary. Of course, we feel closer to some people and are wise to keep our distance from others. This is not a contradiction. The point of this meditation is to develop equal concern, equal regard for everyone, whether they help or harm us at this point in time. And to see our present discrimination is based on arbitrary, mistaken, and very changeable levels. And changeable labels that we put on friend, difficult person, or stranger. And then let's bring back any insights of this meditation. And we return our attention to the here and now. And open our eyes. So if you're on a laptop or a computer, you may want to, or on a device where you can see gallery view, you may want to look at the group as a whole. Actually, I want to open the space. Anything that you want to share from the meditation? Any insights? Any experiences? What did you notice? I just, wave and unmute yourself, and I would love to hear how was this for you?
I struggle a little bit with the idea of attachment and friends or people who are in a good position with me, because I think sometimes that attachment is, to me, like I'm keeping myself in the center, like I'm still using myself as a reference. So, if you say you like to see a certain genre of movies, and I like that same genre, then it's like, oh, well, we have something in common, and that's friendly, and that's, but I feel like that attachment comes back to my attachment to the movies that you happen to share. And so with this kind of concept of equanimity, it's like my struggle is to remove myself as the center reference. So like you can like, whatever you like, and I cannot like that, but can I still have you in my friend cat? Like, can we still find something so I struggle with that. I don't know
Yeah.
how to articulate it, but
Mhm.
I feel like it keeps coming back to using myself as a reference, which
Yes.
seems a little, is it self-cherishing? Like, you're like me, so we're friendly.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a great, that's a great point of view, great insight, because that is your experience and many of our experiences. The way I see it is to not be attached, because also we all have our likes or dislikes, or things we do in life, or people we gravitate to, and there is in a way nothing wrong with that. I think the problem becomes when we make that very solid, and we in a way grasp to that situation and say, well, these are the only good movies, other movies are totally bad, these are the only good movies, that's it. Since you mentioned movies, every other movie, only this movie is a good movie, for the rest not. Then we come into trouble. Of course, we may have our likes or dislikes or preferences, but in a way, if we can hold it a little bit more fluid, then we get less into trouble, or that we don't believe so much in these labels that we give them. If, as you describe it, some movies you prefer above others. Well, there's nothing wrong in that. It is if we give something a label, and then we believe in it and we grasp on it. I'm just making this movement with my hand sort of to make it very solid and very very, very fixed, because then we get into trouble if we meet someone else who prefers another movie, or has other preferences. I don't know, does that make sense?
Yes, to probably give a better example, I have a family member who really did something that betrayed me. And it took me a long time to not keep referencing like, in order to forgive and move past it, I really had to stop examining how I felt about the situation and try to see that they have their own life, they have their own capacities, and abilities and inabilities, and not to take that personally. So that was kind of like, to me, that's like the example that I kind of go through in my head for equanimity, is that I can just see them as somebody completely different than me and be okay with the interaction that we have. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because then it sounds like you have, gone through the whole, the transformation of that situation, from, the initial friendship, and then the hurt or betrayal, and the pain that it causes, and then to work with that. So I think that sounds like the way to work with it, and the way to engage with it. Yeah.
The issue is, though, sometimes it bubbles back up. It's like it doesn't seem to just go away. It's like every now and then something will come up, and like the whole event like cycles up, and I have to reprocess it, and it's a struggle to keep them out of that like the aversion and the enemy territory, and to see them in a neutral kind of way. I'm stunned at how much effort that takes, because once I think I've kind of resolved it, there will be something that will just bubbles right back up. So I guess I'm still processing it.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation. And in my experience, that is how it goes. It's not that you have a difficulty and you do a bit of work on it, and you do some loving kindness to them, and boom, wonderful, they're radiant, beautiful beings, they have Buddha nature, yeah, go. And then, the next phone call or the next interaction or the next memory comes up, and boom, I know what you're talking about. And I think that is the practice. We don't do it just once or twice or 3 times. Some of these things, in a way, what I find good in Buddhism is that it gives this wider perspective, because we don't know our past relationship with, with other people, what has happened, why sometimes, relationships suddenly break down or change so much. So, but it is true that we need to do these practices, to do these meditations or forgiveness, or these ways of working with them, processing and going through that. For example, this is then one type of meditation to practice equanimity, but we can do that again and again and again. It's not we do it once and then that's it, because our patterns, they have been built up over years, over lifetimes, not only with, with one difficult person, but with all these difficult people in our life, and then over many lifetimes. The Buddhists, they hold this idea of many lifetimes. So if we think of that, then it's like, it makes sense that a conflict or a difficulty isn't solved just, by one meditation or in one situation.
Well,
So-
thank you for your perspective, because that was very validating, because it's something I've been
Mm.
struggling with. And, to have the Buddhist perspective is really helpful. And thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. My pleasure. Yeah, and thank you for your honesty, being, transparent about it, because I appreciate that, because you're not alone in that. I struggle with the same things and have to do things again and again. So that's how it goes. Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up. Mhm. Anyone else wants to mention any experiences, anything from the meditation, your current life?
One of the things that I do every day, and I've only started doing this for about the past 3 months, is to pick someone that I really, really don't like, not necessarily because of something they did to me, because I guess I'm lucky because people very rarely do anything bad to me.
Mhm.
I don't really have any enemies, but I've been an activist all my life, and so when people do things like the governor of state, Ron DeSantis, when he passes a law that I know I can see it actually hurting people and making, especially like middle school children and stuff, actually thinking of suicide, things like that. Like today I'm working on Ron DeSantis, so what I'll do is every once in a while I'll just picture him in my mind, and I'll go through that litany. You and I both seek happiness, and we both avoid suffering, and we both have Buddha nature, and we are exactly like that.
Mhm.
And then I go into the only difference that I know of between the two of us is the karma that was expressed through conception, and the karma we have created and experienced since conception.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, it was very, very, very difficult. It felt like I was betraying something. It felt oily. I got this feeling of an oily feeling whenever I thought about him and tried to bring him, but it's been getting better over the 3 months. And I don't, it's not like I'm saying I don't agree, that I'm agreeing with anything he does at all.
Mhm.
All I'm saying is that he has family that loves him.
Mhm.
He has children that loves him. His mother loves him.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's just my perception of him.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's another type of relationship in your life. So it's great to actually work with that and allow it to change. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Lou. It's great. Okay. So I'm noticing we're coming. I don't know, Mariana, you want to say anything? Any sharings, or you don't have to tell?
Yeah, a little it's a little personal. I don't really feel comfortable sharing today what came up during the meditation, but it was very valuable. Definitely, like you said, a meditation to do over and over again. For me, it was just hard focusing on the enemy, or so to speak. How to, like, if someone was originally a friend and then turned into an enemy.
Yeah.
Because if they really hurt you, it's really hard to go back to that altruistic view of them.
Yeah. Yes, this is very true. I think that is that's something that many of us are struggling with and need to practice with again and again. The good thing, sometimes there is a way to turn that around. It is also a transformation. If everybody would be kind and nice and pleasant and easygoing to us, you know what, we would not have the ability to practice. So another way to think about these difficult people is to say, they are so wonderful because of all these difficult people in our lives, they can give us the opportunity to practice patience, or practice forgiveness, or practice, make us actually think about karma, about impermanence, about where is this sense of self. So that is, I'm not trying to be flippant or so, but that is actually one way to think about it and deal with, difficult people in our lives that we all have, to think, because of these difficulties, we can actually practice. There was one Tibetan Lama who had a cook who was very rude, very awful and rude. And so everybody said, why do you keep that awful man as your cook? And he said, well, everybody else is nice and friendly and polite and offers gifts to me. But this person, they make me practice. I need to practice patience and forgiveness and again and again. So I say that is yet another way to deal with, or to engage with difficult people in our lives. So I would just want to appreciate all of you for being here and for engaging with this, because it's sometimes much easier to shuffle these unpleasant situations under the carpet. So I actually want to appreciate and rejoice in all of us engaging with this aspect of life. So it's time to close. I think we just do a dedication without the prayers and stuff, because we're running out of time. So let's just take a moment to rejoice in our own efforts here in the last hour. Any efforts we've made in our meditations, in sharing, in reflecting, in transforming our relationships and exploring equanimity. Also rejoice in each other's efforts, and dedicate the positive energy to our ongoing journey of development, transforming our potential. Let's also send some positive energy to the people we've worked with, the friends, the difficult people, and the strangers. And may this be a contribution to creating a better world. Thank you. So thank you so much, everyone. It was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for all your efforts. And I look forward to see you here next week.